Welcome to Your Studio Podcast, sharing strategies for studio owners. Chantel Bruinsma and Michelle Hunter are co-CEOs of Studio Evolution, an online global community for studio owners who run dance, music, acting, visual arts, yoga, Pilates, even woodworking businesses. Over the last decade, they have transformed the lives of thousands of studio owners, helping them to create wildly successful and profitable studios, giving studio owners the life of their dreams. So welcome home, grab a cuppa, let's get started.
Do you ever tell people that you have a podcast?
No, because I'm at the school gate and that would feel uncomfortable.
I told someone at the school gate this morning.
Oh, yeah?
So, because she was like, why are you not wearing pajamas?
Why are you looking amazing?
And I said, I was like, no, I'm not going to play this down. I was like, we're recording a podcast today. And she's like, and is it new? I said, no, we've been doing it for a little while now. And then like whip smart, this gorgeous mama whipped out her phone and looked it up. And then I knew she was listening it on the way home from school drop off. I was like, there you go.
There you go. Travis just quietly dropped that he'd listened to 3 episodes the other day. And I was like, really? Like, I didn't think he'd listened to any. It's my husband. I was like,
Mitchell listens to all of them.
Does he? Oh, yeah. He's such a devoted husband. Travis Bruinsma.
Well, he drives a lot. It's like an hour and 10 each way from work to home.
Thank you, Mitch Hunter. You get our kind of like
I have a lot of
fan
friends
number
who
one.
listen. A lot of friends that listen in, which is lovely.
I have one friend who listens in, I know, every episode.
And then the kids think we're super famous.
When we come up on the car, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And my kids sing a song thinking, and the song's not really anything linked to any of our promo, but they sing Studio Evolution. And it's like,
I love it.
That's not.
Can you please record them? We're going to add this to the new jingle for the pod.
Yeah, we need a jingle.
Oh, I can outro. That could be a really good
that.
outro song. I also ran into Liam. I was at Joseph's house on Sunday, and Liam, God love Liam, he brought down his major camera, Holly, and was like, so do you want to have a play with this so you can get used to the screen? I was like, thank you so much for that invitation on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm allowing Holly to run with this, and so no, thank you. I don't want to play with all the fancy buttons.
You know, I love that you Chantel. It's like when you're in, but it's like when there's something, it's just like I can't. I'm good. I can't. I'm not. That's not my bag.
All right, I'm in or I'm out. Like I'm all in and I'm all out.
Yeah.
I'm very clean. I'm a no for that. Thank you.
That's so funny. What's my ordering a new phone? I couldn't do it.
No, I'll broaden it out from that, Michelle. What you are out for is self-care. Like, friend, how many times have we had a comment? I'm banging my ring on the table now. Have you booked a Bowen appointment? Have you got
I haven't.
Nutritionist? No. Okay, so every week I'm going to have to start having some consequences with you for lack of self-care. I'm going to be your accountability buddy and say,
you're so right. It's just been a juggernaut of kids' health issues.
It has been not a juggernaut. It has been a clusterfuck.
It just doesn't stop. And then my care, it's like a bidding system. It's like biopsy, that's up there. All right, I gotta go.
Yes. Surgery. All right.
I'll get a surgery. And then all these other stuff. And then I'm like, I have these intentions. Yes, I'm going to go. I'm going to a nutritionist. Did my neck, can't move, can't carry the kid. All right, I'll go in. I'll get the neck released.
But you know what's really, like, you do so much for me. I'm so happy to be your executive assistant for your health. I am so happy to call naturopaths and nutritionists because, like, I'm invested in your health.
I know.
More than most.
You're the best.
It's going to impact
really
my
sweet.
entire life.
You're really sweet. Even going into surgery, I was like, my phone just died. I need Netflix while I'm in and that phone turned up to my door the next day.
Consider it done. It
was amazing. You got me
because
wifey.
you just give so much to everyone else, hon. But we want you bright and bouncy.
Interesting. How many people do? I would say I know a lot of mums like this who they're so good at prioritizing everyone else.
I think it's a real issue amongst women.
100%. What is that? Is that like value, or like they're just running at like 100% all the time?
Yeah, it must come down to a worthiness thing of being able to prioritize and kind of balance themselves in relation to others. I mean, it's that whole thing where, we are human doings, not human beings. I mean, we could take this all the way back to patriarchy, right? Which is kind of like that women are meant to be of service, that we've kind of grown up in a culture where women
So
are
true.
innately kind of there to support and serve others. And there is less kind of kind of separation of self to be able to kind of identify where our needs begin and everyone else's start.
That's so interesting.
I think it's a lot. But I think there is another way to be where it's what's good for one, it's good for the other. Mind you, I kind of still struggle to find time to exercise, and because I really prioritize wanting to connect with the kids. I find that really tricky because like there's plenty of time I could go for a walk or go to a Pilates class, but I choose to not. So I get it. Well, welcome to season 3, everyone. We're still here. We are loving it more than ever. And we are so grateful that you guys listen along and you comment and you're sharing and you're reviewing for us. It just means the world that you are here with us for your studio podcast. It's all about you guys. And this season, we've got some really juicy topics we want to kind of dive into. And today is no exception, Michelle Hunter, is it?
No. And it's a topic where, interesting, we like to talk about it a lot, but sometimes it's not the easiest topic to talk about.
No.
Is it?
No, it's really not. And what we're talking about today is what happens when maybe you've had a drop in numbers. Maybe the studio kind of is still in a startup phase and you haven't got a huge amount of students. And in your mind, it's like, okay, well, we're not making a lot of money. So the best thing for me to do is to teach the majority of the classes here, because that's going to be the most profitable way to move forward, because you're not having to pay for teachers, right? And that makes sense logically. Or does it? Or does it, Michelle?
Well, it really, that way of thinking, and I think we've seen it when we've worked with a lot of studio owners, that mentality is really around the solo studio owner. You know, when you first start and it's just you, and it's before you hire a team, or you've got or teaching assistants coming on board, and like you're wearing all the hats, you're doing all the things. And it's a very easy mindset to revert back to when things get hard. It's kind of like when you're training someone new and they've just got to step out, or they've got something come up, and you're like, I'll just do it. Just put it back on my plate. I've got it. I'll do it. It's just quicker. And sometimes it's not the solution. Well, a lot of the time it's not the solution. And what you think is either saving you money or time because it's quicker, it's actually going to make it harder for yourself in the long run.
For sure. I think there is a core belief that teaching more is saving money for the studio as a studio owner. But in our experience, it actually can quite significantly sabotage the growth. And here's why. By you keeping in the classroom, and look, I don't know how many hours you're teaching right now. You might be teaching 8 hours, you might be teaching 15, you might be teaching 20, you might be teaching 35, you might be teaching 45. Don't know how many classes you're teaching a week, right? But when you are trying to deliver that many face-to-face classes, and as a teacher, I know how much prep goes in to teaching that amount of students and thinking about their needs and kind of the variety and the kind of repertoire and the curriculum and how you're extending them. Like there's a lot. And then the communication that goes around that. And then if we think about your bandwidth for actually working on the business and growing the business, you've got none. Like there's no way. There's no way.
It's too much. And look, we're not saying if you love teaching, by all means, like we know a lot of studio owners who their heart still sits a lot with teaching, and we're not saying not to do that. But if you're wanting to grow your studio, there is an aspect that you need to lean into significantly, and that's not teaching more.
And there's ways to do it. There's ways for you to be smart about how to still teach. I'm always going to teach. I'm a teacher. Yeah. It's like my core archetype, I reckon. And you may feel the same. Please never stop teaching if you love it.
Yeah.
The students need you, right? However, we can kind of really choose which classes make your heart light up, which give you energy. Because and I know that there's also classes that don't give us energy, right? There's definitely ones like, I'm just, dialing it in for this one. It doesn't kind of change your life. So it's considering how we can free up your teaching space. And the the gain that you get when you're not teaching as much is what you can actually put into marketing. Now, the biggest delineator between where you are right now and the business you want to have is the quality and the volume of marketing you can do. If we can free you up to increase more time for you to get more marketing out there and get the quality of your marketing out there, your business is going to do better. And so while it's kind of like in this, I'm going to teach more because it's going to, save me money, it is holding you back from a huge amount more money that you could be making in this business if we could reduce your hours. It's a big shift in your thinking.
Big shift. All right. Well, let's lay it out, Chantel. What would be step one? And I know where this is going to go for step one of freeing, of stepping away from your teaching more.
Okay. So often the first step is like, maybe we don't even need to cut any classes. We just need to give you more spaciousness to get in the zone. Because, when you get like these little tiny snippets of windows of time to work on the business and you're so exhausted that you do get time to your desk and you don't quite know what to work on in those tiny windows of opportunity. And so it's kind of knowing what to focus on in those times that gives you the structure. And in Studio Evolution, that's what we really get clear on, is like how to maximize the time that you've got to make the most impact. What I want to say is step one is, could you consolidate your teaching into like 4 days, maybe, so that you have one whole dedicated day that is yours for kind of thinking and working and being in the business zone. It's too hard taking hats on and off, right, Michelle? It's just, you get too muddled and you don't get into the flow. If you know you've got to teach at 3, it tends to mess with your energy. Or if you've taught a class in the morning, again, your energy is zapped because you've given that energy to students. I know for myself, if I teach, like you can't reclaim that.
And don't forget, like in a studio environment, when you're doing bits like, I've got a class here and I've got a class here and it's not batched together, the amount of communications as well that's coming in and out to other teachers, to admin, to the team in between those periods, that's also the additional comms that kind of like clunk up those times. So actually batching the classes together, you're also going to streamline your communication. So it gives you those other, time pockets or days which are completely free to work on the business.
That's what we want. And then from there, like if you can get to 1 day, my goal, usually I would like for you to be teaching no more than 10, 12 classes a week max. 8 is a nice sweet spot, I find. Around about 8 classes a week. That's a goal for you to get to, right? And what that would look like is 2 days of teaching per week and then 3 days of actually working on this business of yours and growing it. And the trajectory we'll see there is huge. But even if that's like, that could be way down the track for you, right? But even right now, it's like, could you look at, is there 1 class a week, 2 classes, and what would be the most strategic time windows for you to kind of free up so you get the biggest chunk of time to devote to marketing? That would be the question I'd be asking.
And if we could spend, just to start, like 1 day, oh my goodness, Chantel, if that 1 day was spent on working on marketing, I am telling you, if you could be that dedicated, not just like 1 day for the first 2 weeks and then you stop because life gets in the way, but actually the discipline of working 1 day on marketing, a week on your business, it will dramatically transform the growth and the results.
Yeah. And look, we know that, like, let's say your studio's had a bit of a drop in numbers. Let's say that you've kind of like, numbers aren't looking good, so kind of pennies are being pinched a little bit here and there, and you're kind of feeling the strain of having to pay all these teachers. And again, the temptation is like, I'll just step in and take over these classes to kind of save a bit of cash. There's that balance of knowing when to lean in and when to lean out. But then also, Michelle, it's that knowing of, where are you going to make the most money in this business? What are the revenue generating activities that are actually going to move the needle on this business's growth?
Yeah, for sure. And it is so tempting because, we still run a business at the end of the day. So we have to, when profitability or enrollment's down, we have to do an exercise of trimming to keep, a stable level of profitability. And perhaps that can be looked at in other areas. Like in Evolution, we have this really fun project where we look at what expenses or ongoing subscriptions or everything, maybe you have to do a complete review. Maybe you do have some contra capacity that's not teaching, that might be managing some social media. How can we get smarter at managing or batching our social media so we can free up some of those expenses?
Because it's tricky. It's tricky to
Totally.
make this decision to drop down your teaching because so much of our identity is linked to it, right? And how we get our fulfillment and the connection and the idea of kind of not only kind of detaching from that role of being in the classroom, but there's also the risk, right? Because you're probably the person in the studio who has the best retention. So even if you do get other teachers to kind of step in for you, there's also this discomfort of like, well, but I can't afford to lose any students. And I know if I teach it, I know that I'll keep it. So there's so many emotions swirling in this place of making this decision to step back from teaching.
And let's be real. A lot of studio owners as well have that emotional block. Who is running headfirst into embracing marketing? Chantel, it is not something that typically as studio owners we find easy, do we? So there's also that emotional block as well. It's like, let's work on something less that we love, that feels safe, that, has all the warm and fuzzies. And then let's step into a little bit of unknown where I'm really going to push myself, probably a little bit of tech. Yeah, putting myself out there. It's hard.
Yeah, because like teaching you feel so safe, right? And doing more marketing can feel like it's being, self-promoting and kind of tooting your own horn. So it's kind of, there is a definite, like it's easy to stay in the classroom, stay teaching where you feel comfortable. And if I just do a really good job of it, the studio's going to grow. But what we've seen in our experience, that it usually takes a little bit more than that to kind of really get this business where you want it to be. So let's kind of future pace this out. So let's say right now this conversation has opened up with you the idea of like, okay, well, if I could just get one day a week to be devoted on working on the studio and just, kind of let the inbox do what it needed to do for that day and actually just had a day dedicated to marketing and growing this studio, what would you actually do? Like even Michelle, what would you think would be one of the first things that you'd encourage a studio owner to play with on those dedicated days?
On those dedicated, I would really work on, and look, this is a big belief, I think. I would work on having a website or an enrollment page really dialed in, so then you can then start pulling the levers of different areas of, pushing people to an enrollment, because everything's going to lead back there. So you might want to run an open week. You might want to, focus more on word of mouth referral or bring a friend week or something like that, or whatever kind of marketing activity that you're going to push people towards. There's got to be something that is going to be easy for them to enroll. Might be a Facebook ad. You might start an online campaign. It's got to come back to something that's going to enroll them into the studio.
Right. And so what I'm hearing you say is that, if we, as your first point of call, getting your website working really well, so visitors kind of consistently enroll without having to reach out and inquire. If we do that, then it's kind of like all roads lead back to that one central enrollment machine. And if we get your website really, really optimized for kind of enrollment, then everything we do from there is a bonus. Good tip. I love that. Really smart.
It's just really practical as well, because even having the website really well mapped out with FAQ, all the things. So when they land, it's transparency, and it's not like more questions or another barrier to entry. It's just like really simple decision.
Yeah, I love that. And just so you all know, like we have a 6-week course, and it is devoted to studio marketing, and websites is one of the things that we actually we spend the first 4 weeks of the course really getting all of the pieces together, and then we add them all onto your website to make sure that your website is like absolutely designed to ensure that it is enrolling students as you sleep. And we're a big fan of a direct to enrollment strategy. So we kind of don't lead in through kind of inquiry. We're like, let's just get them in. Like, why do all the faff and hustle of kind of having multiple like trials and kind of having to check in and kind of follow up? Let's just get them enrolled into the main thing. So we build websites with our clients in the Leap that encourage people just to enroll, but to give them all of the emotional and also like the practical knowledge that they feel connected and confident that you're the right studio for them, that they can make the decision and pop their credit card details in then and there. Well, to get you there, the first thing for you to do is to look at your teaching load and think, what is the opportunity cost of me teaching this much? What am I, like, if I am teaching this much, what am I not getting, right? Like, yes, you're getting fulfillment. Yes, in some ways it is a more profitable way, but then it's holding you back from growing the studio. So really like, what's the next bracket of teaching hours that you want to step towards? Like if you're teaching 20 hours a week, can we move to what would it look like if you had to drop down to 15 hours a week this week? What would you do? Who would you call? How would you set it up? If a doctor kind of said to you, I'm sorry, you're not able to teach more than 15 hours, you could make it happen, right? So what would you do? And if we want this business of yours to grow, we need to allow you the space to grow the studio through marketing. And that's what this decision really is all about. Are you ready to step into more growth for this business? Are you ready to stretch out of what has been comfortable and to see the results and the booming profits that are ahead for you if we can just allow you to do what you got to do for this business?
100%. And another thing, Chantel, like once you're getting that all dialed in and you're having that dedicated time to work on marketing, I think a big theme that we really trying to encourage for the studio owners of marketing is consistency, because it's so easy to be like, oh, shiny disco. Sorry, what's that syndrome?
Shiny disco ball. Shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome. It's like, oh, I'm going to do a bring the friend week. Oh, but then I'm going to hold a talent quest. Oh, and then I'm going to do that fair over there, and then maybe have a store which I can tell people. But we know that when there's too many things on the plate, you don't execute it properly. Like really think about something that's coming up, and where it's bring a friend week or you're doing an event, and then make sure that you really thought about, the user experiences, where you're going to do QR codes, whatever, promotion to enrollment. I think the execution and focusing on that one campaign at a time and really ensuring that it's humming, and you can have several things going, but that you've really executed it in full is really important to getting the most out of the marketing and the leads of that campaign.
And look, and marketing can be tricky. You used a lot of words just then, Michelle, which I'm sure people are going like, I don't quite know what you mean there, but it sounds very fancy and very technical and very smart. So I'm sure she knows what she's talking about. But like, we want to invite you to join the Leap. So we are literally right now in the beginning of starting a whole new live round of the Leap. And there's probably still time if you'd like to join us, you can kind of jump in. And this means over the 6 weeks, every week, there's one thing I'm going to ask you to do. And we're going to build such a beautiful momentum of growth in the marketing of your business and make it feel easier and simpler for you to enroll more students. It's a very practical course. We're going to get all of the elements together which showcase how you are different from anyone in your area, and finally, for the first time ever, really get this dialed in. And by the end of the 6 weeks, you are going to have enrolled at least 20 students is our target. In fact, we send you a sticker chart to make this kind of really keep you focused on it. We're going to see at least 20 students enroll within the next weeks. It is a great joy, and we want to encourage you to do this because it's so easy just to kind of get lost in the wash of life time just flows. Let's be really structured here. Let's get this working. Let's get your website designed how it needs to be designed. And that's what we can help you with in The Leap. We'd love to see you. So if you go to studioevolution.com/The Leap, you can find all about it and join us. And we're going to be doing this live over 6 weeks together. It's going to be great. Come along.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, Chantel. And we're going to clean up that website. We're going to have it humming and working like an enrollment machine.
Yeah. And again, sometimes you need the support to be able to make these big decisions of dropping down the teaching hours, having the permission to go, no, you're worthy of having this time to work on the business and to feel confident in it, to feel structured and connected with why you're doing what you're doing to grow this business. Sometimes it's hard because I bet there's also that fear in your back of your head of, the students they all want me. And like, you don't want to disappoint them saying like, oh, you're going to have this other teacher now, you're not going to have me anymore. And there's the resistance there. So there's lots of factors at play that keep you stuck in teaching the studio. And the more that we normalize that this is a normal process to go through, you are always going to have to go through this process to grow the studio. This is a normal part of growth. This is a normal part of the leap. As you leap to another stage of growth, there are new challenges. And one of the first challenges you're going to encounter as you grow your studio is that your dynamic, your relationship in running the studio is going to change. So take the leap with us and let us support you through this process of growing your business. We can't wait to see you there. Head over to studioevolution.com/The Leap, and you can come on board with us, Michelle.
Yep. We'll see you in there. And it's meant to be challenging sometimes, friends, and it's meant to be hard, but with a bit of support, it doesn't have to be all the time.
You got this. You got this. See you soon, friends. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Love what you hear? Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode and leave us a review. Interested in working with us and want to find out more about how we can help you? head to studioevolution.com/start.